Playing games has always been a refuge, a place where we can escape, explore, and connect with others. For decades now, the industry has been a beacon of creativity, innovation, and passion. But right now, something feels incredibly off. Behind all of the amazing games we've been playing, behind the record-breaking sales and the jaw-dropping trailers that we've been getting, there is a growing sense of unease. Because the truth is, the games industry is in a really, really bad place right now. And if we don't talk about it, we risk losing something truly special. Let's kick this off with the most glaring issue, the layoffs. Over the last year to year and a half, we've seen an unprecedented wave of job cuts across the industry. And I'm not even talking about small studios or these struggling companies. I'm talking about the giants, like Bungie, the creators of Halo and Destiny. They have had several layoff waves despite currently being under the Sony umbrella. Microsoft, one of the biggest players in the industry if you don't look at their console sales, have cut hundreds, if not thousands of jobs. And the most recent one, a couple of days ago prior to the recording of this video, some of the North American developers for Marvel Rivals, a game that has been out since December and has one of the largest and most consistent player bases of any game right now, they got laid off as well. So as you can see, these aren't just isolated single one-off incidents, they are symptoms of a much larger problem. And the worst part about this is happening while all of these companies are posting record profits. So we need to dive a little bit deeper just to see where this problem stems from. Here's the harsh reality of this situation. We are maybe a decade and a half now removed from the passion and creativity-centered games industry that we used to have. It is now unfortunately driven by profit margins, shareholder expectations, and quarterly earnings reports. And when those numbers don't meet those expectations, the first thing to go is the people who made it. But it's not just about the layoffs. It's about what they represent. These are our developers, artists, writers, and designers who poured their hearts and souls into the games that we love playing. And now, they're being treated as expendable. And if that's how the industry treats its own, what does that mean for the future of our games? And that brings me to my next point. Games can still perform really well and be considered failures in the industry. Let's take Hi-Fi Rush, for example, a critically acclaimed game that launched to rave reviews and a passionate fan base, but it didn't meet some arbitrary sales target and it was deemed a complete disappointment and a failure. Or look at Immortals of Avium, a solid game with a dedicated team behind it, but because it didn't sell millions of copies in that first week, it was written off as a flop. This is the reality we are currently living in. It doesn't matter how good a game is. It doesn't matter how much heart and soul went into it. If it doesn't meet corporate expectations, it is dead in the water. And that's just not bad for these developers. It's bad for us too, the community, because when creativity is stifled by profit margins, we all end up losing. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, but we're getting so many great games right now. How could the industry be in a bad place? And honestly, you're not wrong. We are getting a lot of incredible games. In the last 5 years, we have had Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. These are masterpieces in the mind of the majority of the community, and they always remind us why we fell in love with games in the first place. But here's the thing. These games are the exception, not the rule anymore. They're the result of years of hard work, passion, and a little bit of luck. And as the industry becomes more corporate, more risk-adverse, and more focused on live service models and microtransactions, games like these are becoming harder and harder to make. So yes, we have had some pretty decent games come out in the last few years, but it is not where it was before, and it might never get back to that peak again. I do want to kind of go off on a little tangent here and talk about the Game Awards. This past year in 2024, it did something that it hasn't always done very well. It acknowledged the issues currently facing the industry. There were moments of recognition from developers affected by layoffs, and a few speeches that dared to end up addressing the giant elephant in the room, which were these layoffs. But let's be honest, it still has a really long way to go. For every heartfelt moment that we had, there was also rushed speeches, awkward cutoffs, and an overwhelming focus on trailers and marketing over the people who make the games. The Game Awards has an enormous platform, if not one of the biggest. It is one of the most watched events in the industry, with millions of people tuning in each and every year, myself included. But if it truly wants to be a force for good, it needs to do more. It needs to consistently advocate for better working conditions, celebrate the people behind the games, and use its influence to push for some real change. This year was a step in the right direction, but is just that, a step. Now that tangent's over, I feel like I have to address something that has been floating around online. I really have avoided talking about it for a while, but I feel like I have to in this situation. There are some brain rot level insane ideas going on in these online spaces right now that say that the game industry's problems are somehow tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. I am in no way, shape, or form here to defend the DEI grifters on social media. These people are absolutely insane and they use this important conversation as a way to gain attention or stir up drama. But let's be clear, the games industry is not in the state that it is right now because of DEI. You should just let that one ring in your ears for a second. The layoffs, the corporate greed, and the focus on profit over creativity and sustainability, these are the systemic issues that have nothing to do with diversity or inclusion. In fact, many of the people that are currently being laid off are from diverse backgrounds, and their voices are crucial to the industry's future. Blaming DEI is just a distraction. It is a way to avoid addressing the real problems: corporate mismanagement, unsustainable business models, and a lack of total respect for the people who make the games in the first place. Now that that lesson's over, here's the thing. The games industry isn't just a collection of corporations and balance sheets. It is also a community. It is the indie developers working late into the night to bring their vision to life. It is the modders who keep old games alive and even somehow make new games in some cases. It's the streamers and content creators who have such a hard job who build these communities around the games they love. But if we want this community to thrive, we need to start thinking differently. We need to support the games and developers who are doing things right. We need to demand transparency from the corporations who hold so much of that power. And we need to hold big-facing events like the Game Awards accountable for using their platform to advocate for some real change. And that brings me to my final point. Every good game you have, you should play it while you still can. Because the truth is, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know how much longer we'll have studios willing to take risks, push boundaries, and create something that is truly a special experience. So when a game like Baldur's Gate 3 or Hades come along, savor that. Support it, tell your friends about it, because those games are a reminder of what this industry can be when it's at its best. And if we want to see more games like that, we need to demand better. We need to hold these corporations accountable. We need to support the developers who are fighting to make the games we love. Because at the end of the day, gaming is not just about entertainment. It's about art. It's about connection. It's about the stories we tell and the worlds we explore, and that is 1,000,000% worth fighting for. And in conclusion, and at the end of the day, the games industry is at a crossroads. It is up to us, the developers, the fans, and all of the communities to find out which path it will take. Will we let the corporate greed and short-term profits dictate the future? Or will we fight for an industry that values creativity, passion, and the people who make it all possible? I know how passionate a lot of the people out there are about games, and I definitely think this is something we can do. So thank you guys so much for watching, getting your daily dose of vitamin P. If you guys want more daily doses of vitamin P, please check out the rest of the videos on my channel. The last 2 videos that I put out kind of fit this metric a little more. If you guys want to find more videos like this, did a lot of video essays back in the day as well, so go ahead and check those out. Thank you guys so much again. I will see you all in the next one. Peace out and take care.